Well, with me now is political reporter Aldrin Sampear to talk us through this story. Aldrin, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And based on that story that I read before that soundbite, I mean, they're wanting to see some radical changes within the ANC, but will these things actually materialize?
Well, that's the problem. And I think for the first time now we have these veterans from Mkhonto WeSizwe Military Veterans Association actually coming out and saying what exactly should be happening, and they are calling for the president, his deputy, as well as the entire top six and the ANC's NEC. They're also calling on the provincial leadership of all the provinces to be disbanded and dissolved. This is for the first time that they've come out this clear, but whether that's possible is something else. Remember that this is 2017. It's the busiest year for the ANC, considering that they're going to an elective conference in December, and then there's the policy conference that will be taking place in June. And now something else that has been added is the National Consultative Conference, and that's another issue as well. The National Consultative Conference, the NEC has decided, should be 2 days just before the policy conference. You had the veterans, the ANC veterans, the previous ANC veterans, the 101 veterans, who have called and said that the National Consultative Conference should be separate. And now you have the Mkhonto WeSizwe Military Veterans Association veterans also calling for the same thing, saying that yes, it should be separate. But whether that is possible to have all the members, all the leadership of the ANC disbanded and put in an interim leadership definitely sounds impossible.
What would you say? It sounds impossible, but what would need to happen for it to be possible?
Well, considering that you're calling on the ANC NEC, which is a body that has been elected at an elective conference of the ANC, the highest decision-making body, that is the elective conference of the ANC. Considering that you want those people to resign, you have to call on a special national conference. And the NEC has already made it clear last year already that that is impossible. They will not be doing that. And that's the reason why they've said that, okay, let's at least go for a National Consultative Conference. The National Consultative Conference cannot then take on the role of a special national conference where it will set aside the leadership that has been elected and tell them to step aside and have an interim leadership be set in. That is a decision that has to be made by a special national conference or at the elective conference of the ANC, which will be taking place in December.
All right, so this call for the consultative conference to be separate from the policy conference, you mentioned that now. I thought this issue was already settled.
Well, the issue isn't settled, not at all. Even the 101 veterans who first raised this issue and met with President Jacob Zuma and the top six and the National Working Committee of the ANC had said that they want this this National Consultative Conference to be set up, but it must be separate. There was a meeting that was held, I think it was earlier this year, with the top six, and then they raised that issue, but the top six then decided that they will go back to the National Working Committee and speak to the NEC and then see whether that is possible, because the posture that they want this National Consultative Conference to take is that it will be able to go down to the branches and have all issues settled from branch level all the way up, and also include civil organizations. And that's another issue that still needs to be talked about. The veterans, the 101 veterans, had said previously that they will be setting up a task team that will also look into how the National Consultative Conference will be set up, or the structure thereof.
And then the other thing I find interesting is this vetting of leadership. Talk to us a bit about that.
That's quite interesting. Remember that the ANC NEC, I think it was the second last NEC meeting that took place last year, where they said that there should be vetting of ANC members, and now you have this as well, calls coming here from this group within the ANC saying specifically it must be vetting of leadership. And it speaks to the issues around corruption. So they see that there are those people who are in the leadership of the ANC, who have become leaders of the ANC, who are using their positions to enrich themselves. And that's the thing that they want the party to be dealing with. And they find that that's the reason why the party is where it is now. One of the questions that I asked Siphiwe Nyanda, is also part of this council, is when you look at the state of the party right now, you have this diagnosis. The question then is, how did you arrive here? And he said says it's post 1994 when the ANC became government, when the ANC now became when the ANC started them governing the country, that you saw a new caliber of cadres all of a sudden emerging, and they rang the alarms back then already.
Oh wow, very interesting, Aldrin. Thank you so much. Aldrin Sampear, political reporter, with me in studio.